All right. So basically, going to start with, what are the top five trends in digital transformation? I mean, since it was more focused on the digital transformation industry, I thought, let me give you a very high level, overview of what's happening in the digital transformation industry. And by the way, I have been into IT sales and services for more than 20 years, and past 10 years has been purely into US health insurance, the BPO operations. But I read a lot, and like technology is something which is very close to my heart, and I always keep on, reading about a lot of things happening in the tech industry. These five pointers or trends, these are for 2022 as listed by Tech Target. So the first thing, what I would like to, as a advice, I would like to give you to all of you, is you need to have a list of websites or list of portals which you are going to follow to make sure that you're constantly upgrading your knowledge. Okay. So the first action item would be to make a list of all this. At least you should have at least 5 to 6 list of websites which you should refer, if not daily, at least weekly. Okay, because this is the most fundamental thing which is required in the technology industry, not in the technology, any industry. You got to be updated with what's happening in your industry. That basically gives an impression to the person, whoever you're speaking to, that you are well updated, you are really passionate about the industry what you work in, and you like to always update your knowledge. Okay, so as you can see, due to the pandemic, I mean, the pandemic was a great eye opener for the entire world. Okay, I mean, suddenly, from nowhere, every company start got the you know experience of how you need to face such kind of situations, and how remote working can be the, I would say, the work culture of the future. And today, if you see, even in our company, I would say 90% of the companies have adopted this culture called hybrid working, which means that you're going to work 2 days in the office and last 3 days in, from remote or work from home. In fact, I have been working from home for the past 2.5 years. Okay, so that's one of the very, very significant trends which is, happening today. And the same thing is also going to happen, and how digital transformation is, going to address this particular trends. Then we have intelligent search. Why do we need intelligent search? To enhance your knowledge, so that the employees are empowered and there's a constant upskilling. Today, with technology changing at such a rapid pace, it's very, very essential for each and every company to make sure that their employees are updated with the latest technology and latest knowledge. So upskilling is, one of the most essential, I would say, strategy most of the companies need to adopt, to make sure that their employees are fully trained and aware of the latest technologies, because only then they can advance, only then they can provide better solutions for their customers, right? So that's one of the trend which is happening. Third is the customer data platform, right? To get a 360-degree view of the customers. Okay, today, with so many different channels available for customers to communicate with suppliers, at the same time, companies can communicate with the customers. You need to have a complete 360-degree view about what your customers are looking for, what their needs are, right? What are the business challenges they are facing, right? What are the new things what they are doing? Who is their competition, right? And so this is a very, very essential thing required for any company to sustain in the current marketplace, right? The fourth trend what is happening is embrace AI ops, which is artificial intelligence and operations. I'm sure you must have heard of DevOps. So this is the next level, which is called AI Ops. So this is basically leveraging machine language for effective and predictive network operations center, right? And the fifth one is basically about how do you integrate, today, if you see with the past 5 to 10 years, we have seen Agile, we have seen DevOps, we have seen ITSM, a lot of technologies, a lot of strategies being adopted by various companies. Now is the time to integrate all of these different tools and technologies, to make sure that you have a continuous growth within the company, so that you stay ahead of the competition. Here I've covered the five trends. Let me walk you through, to into the what is the technology and business outlook for the various technologies, which are in trend as far as digital transformation is concerned. And to give you an idea as to what is the business potential, in these industries. These numbers have been taken from various portals. So with they, I'm sure like most of the portals always will see a variation in plus minus 10%. But this is just to give you an idea of the magnitude of business which is going to happen in these technologies. Artificial intelligence, we're talking of $15.7 trillion by 2030. 2030 is just 8 years from now, right? Augmented reality, virtual reality, we're talking of $200 billion by end of 2022, right? Blockchain, that's another technology which is has been seeing tremendous growth in the past couple of years. 19 billion by 2024, another 2 years. Cloud computing, this is the old number for 2022. I am sure that number has gone up and will be going up for not only India but across the globe. More and more companies are now adopting cloud as one of their key business strategies. Data science, we talk about big data analytics. Internet of Things, IoT, what they call it. We're looking at $1.38 billion by 2026. RPA, robotic process automation, one of the key things what each one of you is, I think, more focused on and more current for all of you. We're talking of $100 million by 2025. Another 3 years, this could be also can, and we are looking at the growth rate of around, I think, 25 to 30%. And that's the growth rate what they're expecting for RPA. So I would say that you all are in the right, thinking in the right industry, are in the right industry space. And now what matters is how do you make sure that you have a perfect mapping of where the industry is going, what are the kind of companies you need to look for, what is your skill set, and navigate and make a plan to get into the kind of dream job what you're looking for. All right, so let's look at what are the typical things employers look for when hiring candidates. Intelligence is of course one of the key criteria. And here I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to request each one of you to kindly type in your chat as to what is it that you think are you know uh, the top things what employers look for. I would like to see something. So come on, I want wear your thinking hat and type in quickly in the chat whatever you think what employers look for. Come on, quick.
I can't have the chat, but chat domain.
Okay, you can spell it out. Good, no problem. Okay, what is it that you feel, Aziz, is companies look for?
I missed your question, sir. Actually,
I said the question was, what do employers look for when hiring for a candidate?
the technical skills. Most of the
Okay,
technical
great,
skill like related
great,
to IT.
great. Okay, great. Next, I would ask one by one. So each one of you kindly, either type in the chat or like, spell out whatever you want to say. Passion for the role. Thanks, Rahul. That's a very, very important thing. Javeed, employees are checking skill set, knowledge. Okay, fantastic. Who else? Nikhil Pawar, technical skills. Okay. BPO industry automation is a big thing. Okay. Technical knowledge of robotics, AI and ML. Okay.
Domain knowledge.
Domain knowledge, very good. Okay. Passion for the role, flexibility and adaptability, very good. All right, so most of the things, yeah, how we can improve customer experience using self-serve, very good, very good. All right, so let me, again, these are not, something what I have created. This is something what I have found on the Indeed portal, and I'm sure by and large, I would say these are the things what most employers look for, and of course there will be more, but by and large, if you can focus your attention to these five things, it will be much easier for you to navigate further. You are sharing my screen. Just let me know when you're able to see my PPT. Just a minute. All right, so let me go one by one. So ability and skills to perform the job. Technical skills, of course, everybody has said that. So this is one of the most crucial factor employees look for before hiring a candidate. So you got to make sure that whenever you're applying for a job or when you're looking for a change, you have the requisite ability and skills to perform the job. Okay. What are the things? Leadership qualities, teamwork. Okay. Somebody spoke about passion, skills, ability, automation, leadership, and teamwork. Okay. Communication, that's one of the, I would say, the most critical and the most important skill what employers look for, because you may have the best of the technical skills, you may have the best of the abilities to perform the job, but if you're not able to communicate that is the other things. Now what I want each one of you to do, there is one more item, which is learning, continuously learning. Okay. I would pause here for a minute. You can either take a screenshot of this slide, and I want each one of you to rate yourself on a scale of, maybe 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and for each of the above skills or qualities what employers look for. Okay, so if you say, let's say for example, ability and skills to perform the job, which is the most critical,
Uday,
you can,
Uday,
yeah.
can you move to the next slide? I think your last slide is stuck.
Oh, last slide is stuck. Okay, just a minute. Oh, I am here now.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Thank you so much. And please keep interacting and let me know, because I'm toggling between, the go to perform participant window, and I have my presentation which is on a full screen. So, all right, you can see the full screen presentation, right? Right now, or you're seeing the menu options as well. Anshuman?
It's not full screen actually, but it's fine. It's comfortable.
Okay, fine, no problem. So this is better. So I know for sure that I'm in the right prepare right slide. All right, so take a minute, take a screenshot, and rate yourself from 1 to 10 in each of these category, and then I will cover towards the end how you need to make sure that one is to rate yourself 1 to 10 for each of these qualities. Second, most important thing, okay, I'm not sure how many of you have actually, if this is a part of your checklist for your interview or job preparation. I want each one of you to basically write down, either, as opposed for skills and ability, write down what are the skills and ability you have. For the other soft skills, leadership, teamwork, communication, intelligence, learning, and computer skills, I want each one of you to write down at least one recent incident which you can narrate during your interview, or you can even write a part of your cover letter to demonstrate that you have those qualities. It could be leadership, teamwork, communication, intelligence, learning, computer skills. Anything which is relevant to these skills, and most recent, don't look at, you did something in college. Okay, I want most recent. And even if you don't have as of now, you need to start working on preparing, or identifying any opportunity where you can demonstrate the skills in the next 30 days. This is very very critical, so that you have the most recent event or incident or story to narrate, right? And this is more of a habit building, a total, I would say, transformation, how you need to look at the complete objective about getting a new job, shifting your job, or shifting your career, right? I'm not sure how many of you have really given a thought to this kind of a thing. So this is one of the critical exercise what I want you to do, maybe after this session. But at least you can rate yourself on this, so you exactly know where you stand today. All right, let me go to the next slide. Any questions here so far? Okay, so silence is no good news. Yeah. Let me go to the next slide. Now, what are the top five qualities employers look for? Again, this is come from Indeed. I would have done the same exercise for again asking for each one of you. Again, so these are just not five, but by and large, this is what companies look for. So as long as you have these qualities, it's not the question of these qualities. It's the question of whether you can demonstrate or narrate a story or incident or event where you can say that you have a positive attitude. What is it that you do to follow discipline? What does it mean to be flexible? What does it mean to be resilient? What does it mean to be honesty? Right? So these are the basic things what employers look for. I am sure you would say this is something what I already know. But what you don't know is, do you have any latest recent story, activity, or anything which is noteworthy, which you can narrate at the time of your interview? Okay, this is again most important. Again, rate yourself against each of these five qualities from 1 to 10, and write down if you have any most recent event or story which you can narrate. Recent, it has to be either if not of past 2 months, but at least of the current year 2022. Something you did last year is history, and again today, again, be very very careful, and you should most of the time always be very sure that you have the most recent thing to share. All right. So attitude, discipline, flexibility, resilience, honesty, and out of this, most of the time, my I look only for, I mean, it's a very biased opinion, it's not but this is my opinion. Of course you may have different opinions, but whenever I hire candidate, attitude is the most important quality what I look for in a person, because attitude is something which cannot be taught. Rest other things can be taught, right? This is something what you got to develop over a period of time. All right, let's go to next slide. This is, so after quality is done, what next? You got to do your planning. You got to have plan A, B, C. We have 26 alphabets. I'm not saying that you should have 26 plans, but at least A, B, C, D, right? I don't know how much of you, how many of you watch movies. I'm a great fan of movies and a great fan of quotes. And if you have watched Bell Bottom, which is of Akshay Kumar, there's a favorite dialogue what he uses. मेरी माँ हमेशा कहती थी बैकअप का भी बैकअप प्लान होना चाहिए, right? So you have a backup plan, and then he used to say you should also have a backup ka backup, and hence I've made this statement of your plan A, plan B, plan C. And this is one of the very favorite quotes. They say that if you are not planning, you are planning to fail, right? So any activity what you do, and of course job is a very very most important milestone in your life, so you got to be doing a very thorough planning. All right, so now let's do one thing. I'm going to slightly take you on a totally different environment or setup. And what I am going to do is, now there's a question for each one of you. I am sure everybody likes to go on a vacation, right? And so I want each one of you to close your eyes and imagine the most favorite destination if you want to go on a vacation. And is how good you're in planning. And by the way, mind you, even this can be a question for your interview, right? So again, you may have the best at the beginning, as I said, like you may have the best of the abilities, you may have the best of the skills, and you might think like ये कैसा क्वेश्चन है यार, मैं तो गया था टेक्निकल इंटरव्यू के लिए, मैंने पूरा आरपीए प्रिपेयर करके गया था, और उसने मुझे एक स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन पूछा कि प्लान ए वेकेशन, यू हैव द मनी, यू हैव द टाइम, और अभी चेकलिस्ट, गिव मी अ चेकलिस्ट, व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू डू? और आई कुडंट डू इट. So anyway, this can also be a question. So you got to be prepared. Point I'm trying to is the planning and checklist. You should be very very thorough with your planning and checklist. The most important thing, as I said, people said hotel booking, ticket booking ho gaya. The most important things are the date of the vacation, baba. When are, where to ho gaya, I gave you the money, I gave you the time, but when are you going to go for vacation? The date, timeline, right? So apply the same thing. Now imagine this is just a 1 week vacation and you got to have a big checklist. Now when you are planning for a career shift, or when you are planning for a job where you are going to work in that company, if not one but at least 2 to 3 or maybe 5 or 10 years, how big your checklist needs to be, right? And mind you one thing, once you start building this checklist, you will see that there is so much of preparation required to get your dream job. I'm talking of a dream job, not any job. Otherwise, like I can just pick up, take my bike and go to any destination and I can enjoy my vacation. But that's not my dream vacation. Like people said Dubai, nobody travels to Dubai like traveling from Pune to Bombay, right? It's a dream. For me, my dream country is Singapore because I've been there, and that's my dream country, right? So okay, so point here is again planning and checklist. Okay, that's the message. What I'm was basically trying to keep you wanted to share with you. Okay, we are, so here now this is the map to your destination, your dream job. For a moment, you might again think like, boss, itna planning kaun karega? I'm sure most of you must have had a discussion ki like itna planning kaun karega, boss. But if you don't plan in such minute detail, you will never get a dream job. right? Then you always end up in getting any job, and then you say, boss, idhar kuch maza nahi aa raha hai, right? So whenever you are planning for a dream job, whether it is now, whether you're starting fresh or experience, these are the couple of things what you need to look for. All right, just a minute. All right, so start with the location: country, state, city, main location. Country, don't restrict yourself only for India. You can look for any country, any dream country. Okay, and today with the internet, and again I said, most of the time we don't expand our horizon to the whole world because we have this belief system. Yeah, how can somebody from outside hire me? We have these limitations, and hence we limit our beliefs or challenges. So my this is a common there's a favorite tagline which is there. uh, don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. Okay, so don't think, just go wild in your imagination. So don't limit only India, only this thing. You got to be flexible when you want to have a job. So otherwise तो वही हो गया ना boss, like you might say कि sir, I get face whenever I'm interviewing candidates, people say like sir, job नहीं मिल रहा है. अरे job नहीं मिल रहा है. Just to in the morning I was looking at the news just for RPA, okay, robotic process automation, as most of you are focusing on this particular a key thing. I just searched in Google RPA jobs in India, and the first link which came, Naukri.com, 50,487 jobs. 50,000, okay, only on Naukri. Monster recorded, Monster was showing close to around 1,000 or more than, there was a slightly less number as far as Naukri is concerned. So you should exactly know. So this is your map, and then you got to use the technology and the tools to narrow down as to where are the jobs available. So again, so whenever you're doing this planning, whether it's country, state, city, main location, always have 3 or 4 options, and always be flexible if you really want to have your job. If you say कि बॉस मुझे पुणे में ही चाहिए, तो बॉस अभी पुणे में जॉब नहीं है, मे बी आफ्टर 3 months आएगा, चलेगा. So you can wait, you can decide, the choice is yours, right? So it all depends on what are the choices, what are the decisions you make, because this is your job, this is your career, this is your life, right? All right, so start with the location: country, state, city, main location. You can take a screenshot of this. Security, when it comes to security, what I'm trying to say is how safe that particular location is from personal point of view, financial point of view, growth point of view, right? You can't go to any city or location which is not safe, right? So these are again the couple of things: culture, food, language, custom, traditions. बहुत जॉब चेन्नई में है, बट चेन्नई, आर यू एबल, कैन यू कोप अप विद दैट पर्टिकुलर कल्चर, कैन यू कोप अप विद दैट पर्टिकुलर food culture, the environment, the climate, the traditions. So you got to be prepared, you got to be flexible, right? It's all about attitude, right? Industry, what kind of industry you want to get into: manufacturing, BFSI, healthcare, media, etc. Top 5 target companies. And let me tell you, this is all coming from my own experience. I have tried this multiple times. There was a time when uh, uh, 1998, I was retrenched from Digital. Okay, Digital was one of the finest companies which I had worked for. So, and then I decided, like I need to have a different approach. How to go about finding a dream job. I made a list of 25 target companies. I did research. They were located across the country, okay, and various industries. Then do a research and have your why 25. Because if you make a very small list, what if any of those 5 companies don't have any job openings? What next? How will you get a job, right? And hence 25 is a good number. You can start with 10, 15, or you can even increase. It all depends. Now, how do you make sure that when you have limited time and resources with you, you build a team? We already have 20 participants out here, right? And you all have been associated with Anshuman's training institute. So you can any of you who know each other, you can form a team. You can form a group of 4 people. So 4 people, let's say 10 companies per person. You're talking about 40 companies. Timeline 1 week. And one person might take maybe one day, or 5 days. So depending on how much time you can devote. If you're already working, you can't devote so much time. So you can devote maybe 1 hour, 2 hour. In 1 hour, 2 hour, you can easily make a list of 3 to 4 companies. When I say list, I mean you can of course go to Google search and copy paste the entire list. That's just one target list, right? But it has to match within the above criteria. You got to be clear that each step each activity, what you're going to do, what is listed out here, has to be in sync with the location, culture, industry. Don't look for any target companies in any different industry. You got to narrow down one by one, and then you got to make your game plan. So this is like a complete map for your destination, which is a dream job. For a 1 week vacation, just we were listing down few things. Imagine now this is your dream job, which you are going to work in that company at least for the next 3 to 5 years. So you better make sure that you are in the right place at the right place, because if you don't like that place, you might say you might have to change again back to square one. Because after you do this detailed planning, and if you get a job, you know for sure that at least for the next 3 years, first मुझे job ढूंढने की जरूरत नहीं है. I have done with that checklist. All right, so any questions here so far? We are just nearing to our 1 hour time, but I'm going to extend this. All right, let me go to the next slide. Map continued. Study the top three and bottom three companies. Why top three and bottom three companies? Top three can be based on your ranking. Top three can be based on industry ranking. Top three can be based on whatever criteria. Could be the number of employees, the number of projects what they have done, the number of clients what they have, the number of geographies they work in, and maybe the number of not number the business potential or the revenue what they clocked last year, right? So there can be various criteria. And why you should look for top three and bottom three? Top three will give you a perspective as to what the top three companies do. Bottom three companies will give you a perspective of what they are lacking. You can use your knowledge of the top three companies and go to these bottom three companies and tell them, hey, look, I have studied, the top three companies in your industry. This is what I found. These are my skills, and this is how I find that there are gaps in your company, and this is how I can fill the gaps. When you go with this story, I can bet your chances of getting a job is, if not 100%, definitely 90%. Very few people go with this strategy or this approach when looking for a job. I'm not sure how many of you have tried this approach in the past, 3 to 5 years. Anyone? Can you respond to this question? Has anyone tried this approach in the past 3 to 5 years for a job, career shift, anything? Yes, no. Can you type in the chat? No, okay. Anybody else? How many of you think this works or this will work? I have tried it. It works. A lot of other people have tried it. The only difference here is the time, right? For me, it worked in 1 month. For somebody, it might take 3 months. But how does it matter, right? So you got to decide how much time you want to invest, how much time you want to work, and how much of a positive attitude you go with the belief that yes, because I know for sure these all strategies 100% work. 100%. There is no doubt they don't work. And I can challenge anyone who can say, boss, this doesn't work. Because I know it has worked for me, and I know it has worked for a lot of multiple other people. Right? Okay, let me go back to the next slide. So again, study the top three, bottom three companies, identify what business they are into, what are the latest news, markets they serve, customers, suppliers, investors. Whenever you're looking for three, let's say we are working, you identified three companies. Okay. Now within that three company, you can get multiple other target companies where you can apply for a job. A particular company's clients, they are your prospective employers because they use the services of your target company, right? They are suppliers, right? Why? Because these are the companies who deal with those suppliers. So these suppliers also need to have a similar kind of a skill set, similar kind of technologies, right? So as you can see, their competition, right? Their competition is your best bet. And I'm sure, when you go to a competition, tell them, hey, look, I've studied these three companies. This is what they do. And I believe you have an edge, or this is what they do, and this is what you're not doing. And if you do this, you can get more clients. And I have the skills and I can help you. Right now, This might, you might feel, yeah, boss, this is like a, very fancy, filmy kind of a thing, but this is not. This is reality. What matters is how you package it, right? You got to find opportunities to interact with people in these companies, right? I'm going to go further as to how do you find these opportunities to connect with these people, right? And then you are deviating from the standard traditional way of getting a job, which is like, first thing is your resume, go on Naukri, takadak, 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 put a job alert, keep on applying multiple times, right? And I'm sure, most of the time you apply and you can see on Naukri.com there are 100 applicants, 400 applicants. On LinkedIn, you can clearly see, you are the top 25 or top 10 applicant, right? You do that thing and you wait for the companies to call you. And mind you, unless you are the top 10%, of the qualified candidate, no company is going to call you. It's you have to take this initiative to call those companies, right? Because you're in need of the job. And let me tell you one more thing. There are times when even, and you assume that was mere nokri mein to apply kiya, I have mailed them on their company email ID, I have mailed them on the HR recruiter's personal email ID, फिर भी response नहीं आ रहा है, right? You have taken the first step. What is the next step? You got to call them. You got to send them a reminder. Hey, look, I sent you an email. Did you get my resume? Can we have a quick call? There are times when I have called and the person on the other line said, "Hey, oh, did you really mail me your resume? I think my mail was down. My mailbox was full. Can you please resend?" Right? Or then I might say, "Oh, maybe it must have gone in my junk mail. Let me check." But you might get a response, "Eh, my mailbox was down. My mail was down. My, I shifted to, went to a new laptop, but I have not, synced up my previous mails. Or, maybe, why don't you please resend?" You got an opportunity to connect to the person. And maybe the person has not seen your resume. But like this, there'll be very few people who would be actually calling, right? So that's how it is. So competition, identify the key contacts today with LinkedIn. Of course, during my days, we never had, we used to rely only on the newspaper ads. We never had, LinkedIn kind of portals or Facebook or whatever. Today, you have so many different portals where it's easy to find out who are the key contacts, right? Network and references. Again, the same strategy. You are 20 people out here, form a group, form a team. You have 5 people. This is the strategy in what we used to adopt way back in 90s. We were looking for more customers. Okay, what we had done was, I think was working for a Tata group of companies, and we were short of new leads, new companies where we could promote our services. So we did this exercise in a meeting room. We called all the salespeople. We are, I think, around 10 or 15 of us. So imagine if I take 10 companies per person. I'm talking of 150 companies, and the goal was to have at least list of 1,000 companies. Right now, how do we do this? Okay, very simple. Okay, 15 salespeople. I want each individual. The way the task was given to us was, each individual is supposed to network. Everybody passes out from college. Average batch size of an engineering college, any engineering college, commerce colleges are definitely higher, but even if I look at engineering, is at least 50 to 60 people passing out every year, right? I'm sure everybody, when is in college, we always have a group of 5 to 6 friends, if not all 50. I'm sure there are a lot of Facebook groups, there are a lot of alumni groups on LinkedIn, right? So these are all the groups where you have the opportunity to look for companies. That's where you network and reference, right? Today, if you're not networking, if you're not referencing, if you're not contributing to your groups and communities, you're not visible, right? And today, with the internet and so much of portals and groups, people hire people where I can see. So if you're not on Naukri, if you're not on Facebook, if you're not on LinkedIn, if you're not on all the social networks, if you're not on all the groups related to your industry or your technology, which is RPA, boss, then that's the first And the most critical thing what I want each one of you to do, to make sure that you are there. You may not contribute anything, or may not go to those groups again, like maybe frequently, but make your presence felt. Join that group, join multiple. This is what I do on Facebook. If I want to be a part of any technology, I make sure that. And I'm sure for anything and everything you will have minimum 4 to 5 groups. Minimum, I'm talking minimum. There are like multiple tens and hundreds of groups. Some may have one member, some may have two members, some may have three members. How does it matter? Go and join all the groups. Put some notification. Let technology work for you. Set your job alerts. And then you got to make use of technology and make sure which are the zones or which are the segments from where you are getting responses, right? All right, so that's about networking and references. Let me go to the next slide. This is all about your personal mapping. You got to have a cover letter ready. I don't know how many of you have a cover letter ready. Today we assume that just because everything is there on Naukri, and like why should we write cover letter? Doesn't matter. I'll just. And today, mind you, with AI and with digital transformation, there are tools which are available. So by the time your resume reaches the HR or the concerned person, your resume first needs to be shortlisted by the software which is going to scan your skills or your resume. So you got to make sure that your resume has the keywords which are relevant to your dream job, or for that matter any dream job. How do you find those keywords? Go to the Naukri.com or all the portals where the job description is listed. What are the key skills required? You got to make sure that you use the same terms in your resume. Every time fine tune your resume. It's more about mass customization. You can't send the same resume to multiple companies. All right, create and update your social media profiles. Make sure your resume is the most updated. Make sure your email is professional. Make sure your numbers are valid and active. I have seen a lot of time people have their numbers, and when I call them, I get a message: incoming is barred. This number is out of network. This number is switched off. Boss, if you're looking for a job, you may never know. If you are not open, if you're not visible, if you're not connected, or if your people can't reach you, you have missed the bus. I'm sure you must have heard this, a very old, ad, which is, I mean, I'm sure this still comes on radio. I'm not sure whether it came on TV, with radio, City and all those channels. Today, radio has become, I would say, the biggest, you know, platform where you can get a lot of news. And there was an ad from this service provider. I think Tata switched to Tata or Idea or whatever. There's a person, two people looking for a job, and one person is on the call, and saying that sir, like I send you a resume. Today was my telephonic interview, and the network goes down, and the second person calls up. He is able to speak to the person, and he is able to get his job, right? So today you will never know. It's all about second, one call, one email, one connect. Anything can make miracle, right? So create a map matching your education experience skills to. Here you got to understand, and hence most of the time people tell me that sir मैंने 100 जॉब एप्लीकेशन भेजे हैं लेकिन एक भी कॉल नहीं आया. Was you got to make sure that those 100 you are applying for those companies where the job skills and requirements are matching at least 80% to what your job skills are. If they are not matching 80%, don't even spend your time sending a mail or sending resume to those companies. First, you got to make sure that your skills match with what the company is looking for, right? Write your answers to the top 10 interview questions. Write. Why I'm saying write here is because unless and until you write, there is a scientific reason why they say that you should write and not type. Because when you write, you're sending signals right from your fingers through your to your brain. And when you write things, you remember them for a longer period of time. And it comes with more passion when you speak, right? Communication, as I said, is one of the very, very most essential skill to get a job. You may have the experience, you may have the skills, but you're still not getting the job. Why? There's something missing. You got to get connect to the person who is hiring you. And today, with most of the interviews, I'm sure you must have seen most of the top companies recommend or request that you send in a video resume, or you send in, they will give you the questions and they will say, okay, record answers for these questions and send in your video, right? So the things have changed dramatically in the current time. And hence, this is my mantra, which I follow, which I practice day in, day out, and which I keep on sharing. Read, practice, practice, practice. If you follow this mantra and if you follow the pointers what I gave you, I can bet you can definitely get your dream job, if not 30, but definitely in the next 90 days. So take this up as a challenge, prepare your checklist, make your plan, set a deadline, and let me tell you, these things definitely work. You got to imagine that you're already working for that particular dream company and the dream job, and spend, let's say today already having a job, so you can't spend all 8 hours assuming that imagining that you're working for the same company. So ultimately, what if you're working for the same company, what are the things you do in the company, right? There would be a project, there will be a project requirements document, there will be a application coding, blah 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 blah, right? So you got to assume that the company has given you a job, because if you get a call from that company and they say, like, okay, so what I've been doing, let's say for somebody is not in the job, and you get a call from this dream company, and he asks you, like, okay, so since you're not looking for a job, what have you been doing for past 30 days? And if you answer this to him, so for the past 30 days I've been living as if I'm working for your company. I have prepared 5 different project specifications based on RPA, based on what I see that your company is into and what your customers are, and this is what I would like to share. Do you think, what are your chances of getting this job? Let me go back to the chat. Okay, yeah. Imagine if you own a company and somebody comes to you and tells you, in the past 30 days I've been assuming 80%, fantastic, as is anybody else. The person who is listening to you will say, ki, boss, he will not even take your interview. He will say, okay, fine, tell me more. What do you do? What do you do? And then what will he say? You might have, maybe you must have worked for some small companies, before this 1 month. He would say, I don't care about that. You just come and you might even get a job offer. So, and let me tell you, I have been hosting events. I am hosting job fairs for Indian startup. I have hosted at least 3 job fairs for them. And in every job fair, the companies who come there have made at least 5 job offers. That's the fastest, way of getting a job. I have, at least during my era, there was never this opportunity where I can go to a job fair online, right, sitting from the comfort of my home, and somebody takes my interview and they said, this is your job offer. Wow, amazing. This works, 100% it works. It's just that you got to be there when the job fair is happening. You got to be there when the interviews are happening, right? Walk-in interviews. And then there are a number of times I have interviewed so many candidates. They say कि, like, somebody is traveling from outside Pune and coming, like, not even looking at what is the kind of job it is. Sir, job चाहिए, and like, इसलिए walk-in मुझे SMS आ गया, तो मैं walk-in के लिए आ गया. बस ठीक है, SMS आ गया, walk-in के लिए आ गया. At least come prepared for the interview, because in walk-in you are already cross those resume screening and all those milestones. You're already there. So, but there, if you are not prepared, you have missed the chance. So there you got to be small basic things, right? Be well dressed, your resume, carry your certificates. Of course, most of you are already past, our experience. But again, even if you're experienced, you got to make sure you carry your experience letters with you, right? So you may never know, right? If you're going to a commercial building, where the companies are located, and if you're climbing in the lift or walking into the fourth floor or fifth floor, and if you meet, if you're well dressed and somebody compliments you, hey, you're going for a job interview, you might say, yes, of course I am. Which company? I said, this company. Oh, really? So you can say, okay, where you work? And say, the companies I work, these are my certificates. He might say, okay, this is my card. Why don't you meet me? Right? you have cut across all the multiple resume screening, and that person can, you might walk into his office and we can walk out with the job offer. These are all the tactics which I'm giving are practical, have worked, and they work 100% of the time. All right, so I think I've done with my presentation. Let me see what the last slide what I have. Yeah, that's my last slide. Let me take you my last slide. These are my favorite taglines. Do what you love what you do. I don't know how many of you watch Warren Buffett. This is a very old saying. Do what you love what you do. And I add to this. A lot of people also add to this that if you are not loving what you do, you better start loving what you do, because only then you can be successful. Then you can give your best performance, and always believe I can do it. You just have to kick that apostrophe and t, and everything is possible. Even impossible, it says I am possible. So there are a lot of limiting beliefs I have gone through a lot of struggles, and hence I always love talking to young graduates or even people who are younger to me and want to make a career shift, and I give them all these ideas which work and which have worked for me, and this will definitely work for you. I think, Anshuman, thank you so much. I have crossed 15 minutes of my session. I hope you all enjoyed it. So we will